Hi everyone, it's Desiree, and for today's project, I am featuring the Petal Egg Layering Die Set by Birch Design. And as always, we are going to start out layering our eggs. I die cut 3 eggs using watercolor Campso XL cardstock. I'm using my liquid glue to adhere all of these together. And what's great, since we're using watercolor, we are going to dye our eggs. So even though it's after Easter, we've actually already celebrated by the time this airs, we still play catch up when it comes to our holidays to meet up with friends and family. So I wanted to put this together, and we are going to use some Distress Spray inks to actually dye our eggs. And we're going to also apply some shimmer and some drops and all kinds of elements along with water. So you want to make sure the cardstock that you're using can take water. So it can be a mixed media card, it can be the Bristol vellum or smooth, either one is fine. I do tend to lean towards the vellum because it does have a little bit of a tooth to it, because I'll also use that with colored pencils. And then of course your watercolor card, because we are going to douse these once we get them into our spray. These are very easy to layer. You can also just use one of the layers if you wanted to do this technique as well. These are nice size eggs. They are approximately, let's see if I measure this real quick, they are just under about 3 3/4 high, and almost 2.5, just over 2.5 inches wide. I'm going to start with the background, and we're going to create a 6x6 card. I love larger size card bases, whether it's a 5x7, a 6x6, or even a 7x7. Yeah, more real estate to have fun with it. So I pulled out my Oxides, and for the grass, I'm using Mowed Lawn and Rustic Wilderness. And for the upper half, the sky, that's Tumbled Glass and Broken China. And I'm using my blending brushes to put these colors down. I am not worried about a perfect blend. I don't want a perfect blend. I'm just getting color down. I am also using the Campso XL watercolor paper for this as well, because once I get the colors on, I'm going to spritz this with water. When I spritz my card to get those droplets or anything like that, I let it dry. I don't lift them up. You certainly can. I just find I like the look better if I let it dry naturally, especially with the Oxides, because they react when it comes to the water. Remember, our Oxides are a dye and a pigment ink mix. So they have this fantastic result when you wet it, and you can see just how much water I did put down onto that piece of cardstock. Cleanup is easy when I am able to use my glass mat and the sun's not creating havoc for me. I'm going to place my 3 eggs into my spray box. I think it's time to change my spray box, but that's okay. I'm going to put them in there, and I'm actually going to be using my Dylusions Sprays in Teal, Fresh Lime, Peony Blush, and Lemon Zest. And I'm just having fun spraying these inks on. Now remember, some colors that mix, especially the reddish and the green, you may get some brown, so you want to be careful when you're spraying that. And I found when I was spraying the teal, it came out very clumpy, which is fine. So I'm just going to come in with a brush, mix a little bit of water with that dye ink, and just pounce literally pounce that onto the egg. With everything still wet, it's going to blend, it's going to move, it's going to shift. And since we have our pieces layered together, you want to make sure that your glue is dry when you do this. So I actually, when I put these together, I let them sit for about an hour just to make sure I didn't have any more dampness. I didn't want the layers to come apart when I'm adding all of this water, because after I added all of my inks, I sprayed them with water to really get those colors moving. I created a frame with some holographic cardstock, and to help hoard, because that's what we do, that paper, I cut out the center. I finally got used to doing that. You all, you know, expressed your interest and concern with that. And then I'm going to place the panel that I created of the grass and the sky. And these are just going to fill, just absolutely fill the front of this card. I'm going to use my liquid glue again to set them in place. And when I go to place the one in the center towards the top, I'm going to add some foam squares up at the top of the egg, because we've got a lot of layers here. When you're looking at using a watercolor paper, the Canson XL is 140 pounds. So it's nice and thick and sturdy. So it's creating its dimension on its own when we layer these. So I didn't want the egg to be crooked or to, you know, flip down. So I'm just going to add some, excuse me, double-sided foam squares. And these are thinner than the normal double-sided foam squares. And just putting a few up on top of that. So I'm going to place that up onto the top. When I go to make my sentiment, I'm using the Hugs Sugar Script die set, and I'm also using the stamp set Blooming Spring. From the Blooming Spring, I'm able to stamp the word Easter. So that is our card panel so far. I die cut the Hugs 3 times from black cardstock, and then 1 time using the cloud for the sentiment using some vellum, just to push back those colors a little bit and help that Hugs stand out a little bit more. I used white cardstock and stamped my Easter in VersaFine black, and then I also used some clear embossing powders and heat set that. Now, because this is going off that one egg, I did double up onto those smaller double-sided foam squares so that it would lay even across that. I'm using my double-sided tape around that frame so that we will be able to apply it to our 6x6 card base. This will be a side folding. When I make a larger card, whether it's a 5x7 or larger, I will make them a side folding, because you're putting 9 out of 10 because it's a larger size. You got more real estate. You're putting more layers on your card. It adds a lot of weight to that. I added some Nouveau Dream drops, which are great because they changed. They picked up the ink color as they dried. And I added some shimmer to the Hugs to add lots of sparkle and shine to our image. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's project. Hope I gave you some tips and tricks along the way for your ideas for your Easter cards. As always, the products I use will be listed down below, and if you have any questions, please make sure you reach out, leave those below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I do hope everyone, if you celebrate the holidays during this time, I hope you had fun with your families and friends. And thank you so much for taking the time to stop by to watch this video. And thank you for everyone who has subscribed. And if you haven't already, I'd love for you to be part of my group and hit that thumbs up. That helps to push this out. If you enjoyed this video, maybe somebody else would as well. Enjoy today. Enjoy each and every day, and enjoy your time in your room as you create your art. But most of all, always remember, be creative. And I'll talk to everyone in the next video. Take care.